Our next guest is a political activist and author of the book Government Ruins Nearly Everything. Man, couldn't be more correct. Laura Carno, did I pronounce that correctly?
Correct, yes.
How's it going, Laura?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, I'm already liking the title of that book, though.
Yeah, it's hard for people to say, well, no, government does all these other things great, and you say, well, name a few.
Yeah.
So it's a fun book title to be promoting.
I literally was writing a check for my taxes the other day and didn't realize that I had, like, FedEx can't send it to a P.O. box. So I had to pick another location for the Internal Revenue Service. And so I called my CPA and I was like, can I send it here? She was like, it's the wrong place. And to be honest with you, I would put much faith in them actually getting it to the correct place, considering the entity. So that being said, that goes to show you how much faith I actually have in the government getting things done. But with that being said, how did you get started as an activist?
Yeah, so just a quick background. I was actually in banking for 25 years. I've always liked politics, but I didn't understand what a career path looked like to get to politics.
Yeah.
So, but in 2008, there was the banking crisis, all the TARP stuff, drama going on. And 2008 was also the year that Barack Obama wanted to be our president, and I did not want him to be our president. I was very concerned about the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got laid off. I sort of tripped and fell into a political campaign office, and one thing led to another. I never went back to banking. I worked at our state capitol, run some campaigns, worked on talk radio. And then in 2012, I launched my own political media company. So now I weigh in on, sometimes I educate people about bad guys in elections. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I do educational campaigns on issues. But I work on my own. I get to do my own thing. And hard not being funded by the big billionaires, but it's actually, I like it better because I get to say whatever I want. So
fair enough. Now you stated that, while you were in banking, you actually enjoyed politics. Usually most people I know can't stand politics. They have an innate aversion to it.
Right.
What is it about politics that drive you, that you have is it safe to say a passion for it?
Yeah, and the people you describe that have an aversion to politics, they're what we call normal people. We here are rather abnormal.
Somebody's incredibly self-aware.
Well, and when I go to a political meeting and I remind people, most people are home watching Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
They're purposely avoiding talking about politics because they see it as kind of dirty business.
That's why I have no friends.
Yeah. But I always had when I was little, I remember watching this will date me, youngster. I remember watching the Watergate hearings with my dad and just thinking, oh gosh, wow, there's something happening far away that affects us. So I just always had an awareness. My dad always liked politics. But I was pro-gun from my early adulthood. I lived in California. And during the Clinton assault weapon ban era, I was running booths at gun shows and trying to educate people. This was in my capital L libertarian days. California Republicans were not predictable enough on guns. So I did a little bit of minor activism, but for normal people, all we see is when we think of politics is we say, oh, elected office, the governor, the senator. And I didn't really realize there was so much other work to be done. I have a First Amendment right to persuade people. I have to persuade donors to give me money so I can buy radio and TV ads. Yeah. But I can persuade people, and I've been pretty effective. We recalled some state senators here in 2013 over their gun votes, and I actually really, really like what I do because I get to make change, and that's very satisfying.
I think in a lot of ways you serve as a conduit of information for a lot of people, in the sense of, like you say, most people go home and watch Dancing with the Stars, but nonetheless people still want to be informed to a degree. And I think it's hard for a lot of people to sit down and really learn what needs to be learned. And so I think people like you kind of provide an avenue by which they can kind of get their information as quick as possible and then be informed, at least to some degree. Because, I mean, I can't think of anything better than having an informed population of people, especially when it comes to voting. So I think people like you are incredibly valuable, incredibly so.
Yeah, and I think all of us who are somehow connected to an issue or to politics, we all get calls around election time when people have their ballot or their sample ballot and they say, oh, shoot, I don't know what these issues are. I don't know who these candidates are. And so I look at myself as kind of a cognitive shortcut. That's fine. Call me. I'll give you my opinions on the ballot. I've even had some neighbors say, I drive by your house to see who I should vote for because I'll put your signs out for candidates. And I thought, oh, well, okay, if that's what gets them there, that's fine. And they are obviously people who share my values from a voting standpoint. But you're absolutely right. I look at those normal people who don't care about politics or don't think that it affects them. And I am grateful when they call people like me and say, hey, what should I do on this issue or this election?
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It happens to me all the time. Well, at least with friends I still have. So tell us about Coloradans for Civil Liberties. What's that about?
Yeah, so I'll take a quick step back just for history so you understand how this all happened. So back in 2013, we had an anti-gun legislature, both chambers, and the governor was Democrat. So Michael Bloomberg visited us, virtually visited us and say, hey, here's a package of gun control bills, and you should run all of these. So Senator John Morse, who was the Senate president, said, thank you, sir, may I have another? And he ran all these gun control bills. Yeah. Now, we can look at elections and say, hey, we lost. Elections have consequences. That sucks, but oh well. But what he did and what some other senators did was they stopped debate. Senator Morse, I'm sorry, former Senator Morse, I like to call him, he as the Senate president, he packed 7 gun bills into one day. There were 10,000 people at the Capitol. Those who couldn't get in, I was one of those inside the building, those who couldn't get in drove around the Capitol honking their horns for hours. It was amazing. It was a great process to be involved in. So many of these bills passed, a couple didn't. And then after they passed, 4 guys from Colorado who had never been involved in politics before, but they met on ARFCOM, got together and said, well, there's a provision to recall legislators, so let's do that. And they didn't know what they were trying to do was supposed to be impossible because they weren't politicos. Yeah. So they go through the process. I ended up getting involved. John Morse is in my media market near Colorado Springs. And so I did all the media. So I got to do these great TV ads where it was me to camera saying, Senator Morse, don't you dare tell me how to defend myself. And they were hugely effective. So he gets recalled. And another senator in Pueblo just south of us got recalled. In a Democrat district, a female Democrat Hispanic woman got recalled by 12 points. It was huge. 2013 was great. So what happened is Ohio, Buckeye Firearms Association, great gun group in Ohio, a bunch of them just called up and said, hey, can we come help you? Mm-hmm. And we said, yes. A bunch of them came out, 10 days, self-deployed their own expense. So when I met them, they said, you need a statewide pro-gun group that does what Buckeye Firearms Association does. So over the next couple of years, I worked with them on how did you start? What did you do? What's your process? So I founded Coloradans for Civil Liberties to earn back what we lost in 2013. And our tagline is restoring freedom one round at a time.
I like it. That is that.
Yeah, one of the bills that passed was a magazine limitation. So we can't legally purchase anything over 15 rounds now. So if I were to buy the Glock that sits in my nightstand today that I've had for decades, I couldn't buy that Glock today since it's over 15 rounds.
God, I there's nothing more infuriating than just kind of arbitrary restricted gun control laws. Like it just especially when we start talking about magazine limitations and so forth and so on. It boggles my mind a little bit. Now, interestingly enough, you were talking about how you were in Colorado, you were in California, but you were pro-gun. Was that kind of a familiar background ideology, or like is this something that you came to over time, or were you just always pro-gun?
In my didn't think about it a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, my parents didn't have firearms. I had an uncle with firearms, but I actually dated a cop for a while, and
Okay.
went shooting. Thought, oh, here's a tool. It's kind of like a power drill. It's just a tool.
Yeah.
It never. I never got pulled into any of that anti-gun rhetoric, and just it's not like I really studied it. It just seemed obvious to me. This is a tool. I have a right to my own life, which includes the right to defend my life.
Mm-hmm.
I choose a gun. So I've called myself pro-choice on self-defense, and I choose a firearm. Somebody else might choose a stun gun. Good for them.
I like that. Pro-choice on self-defense.
Well, and I think when the left uses language that I think belongs to the liberty side, I hate to say the right, because the liberty side, I get to choose. I get to choose where my kids go to school. I get to choose my self-defense, and the left likes to use choice only for one particular political topic. Yeah. And I don't think they get to own that. So we take that back as often as we can.
Yeah, did the same thing with homosexual. So you and I have something in common.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll finish up.
Okay.